back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Alex and Josh.
And welcome to our review of Loki Season 2. It's finally here. We watched all the episodes. Of course, like we usually do, week by week, because
Absolutely.
that's how it was meant to be watched. We definitely didn't just binge watch it or wait for the majority of these episodes to drop to watch it. So yeah. So it was definitely a wild one, and I'm very curious to hear Josh go first. I want Josh to just put it out there, because if you guys don't know, he was a big fan of season 1. Me, not so much. I found it okay. I feel like Blake was probably a tier lower than okay. But yeah, Josh, why don't you take it away?
Well, I would say, just to go straight into it, first season I would describe it as I really liked it. The second season I would describe it as I absolutely loved it. So definitely a massive upgrade from my point of view of enjoying the first season, of course. I just think there's a lot to say, honestly. I mean, even the finale alone, there's a lot to say from just that episode, especially about the future of Marvel. I think all three of us can agree that we were kind of out on Marvel, and none of us have seen the new Marvels movie. I've just seen everything on TikTok.
What?
So
no, I've seen it.
Even though we were excited about that till the trailers released. But the fact that Loki season 2 finale came out, and then like the next day, or technically the same day, Marvels comes out is kind of wild. Marvel is releasing a banger, and then at the same time, just an absolute flop.
Was it Black Widow in Loki season 1 that came out like around the same time, or like it came out in the middle of it?
No, I think it was WandaVision.
Was it?
I feel like it was. I feel WandaVision.
I thought WandaVision was before Loki.
No,
yeah,
it was.
It was.
It was Hawkeye and Spider-Man No Way Home, because we literally saw Matt Murdock show up in No Way Home, and
okay, I was gonna say there was definitely one TV show that came out around the same time as a movie that we were wondering if there'd be a tie-in
because everything
or
we thought
connection.
Yeah. Anyways, so of course, yeah, absolutely love the show. I guess I could just give my brief description of what I've enjoyed about it. I think the biggest thing was I loved this kind of slow burn almost it was of going into what's really going to happen, what actually happened in the finale. I think it started off just how I wanted to start off. You're kind of just like, okay, we just had a chaotic moment. He Remains just died. What now? And then, of course, it's last we saw of Loki was they didn't recognize him. Why did they not recognize him? And we quickly learned of Loki's new power, which he didn't know of at the time was actually even a power. He thought it was kind of a curse for surviving what he experienced. I thought that was neat, of course. I think it helped kind of helped with the pacing of, holy shit, we just learned a lot from season 1. All that just happened. All the movies following after it. Okay, it gave you a step to just kind of gather what's going on with Loki right now. Instead of worrying so much about Kang and how he ties in, what's even going to happen after He Remains is dead. I think that kind of helped with that, with the fact that everyone's worrying about Loki's new power illness, you would say, as well as it helped lead into where are the other characters at? What is Sylvie doing? I thought it was kind of funny what her introduction of her being at a McDonald's. I thought it was nice, and then also kind of touching as well of their interactions. So I like that, as well as I liked what they did with Miss Minutes and Renslayer, besides the weird Miss Minutes love me daddy moment. That was very creepy.
That was wild.
It was wild. It was funny. It was funny, but certainly made me uncomfortable.
So weird.
Just right in the mannequin, man. Anyways, I liked what they did with those two characters. I thought it kind of made you think that all season 2 was going to actually be about was those two. They're the main bad guys, and you're just kind of thinking, really, is that just what season 2 is going to be? Is just, the revenge of Miss Minutes and Renslayer trying to gather up the TVA because she's a blind loyalist? of course, it ends up not being that really at all. And they honestly become quite irrelevant very fast at the end, which I was fine with because who gives a damn, if we're going to be honest? They're not they're just a pawn at all. You know, they are very irrelevant. They're not that big of a deal. Sure, they're just powerful toys of He Who Remains. That's it. And I felt like they played that role perfectly. I don't know if you guys felt the same about those two.
I just think that's a weird way of you to view women, but it's what it is. Your normal stance, now that I think about it, so it's not a surprise for you.
No, for real. Jesus.
Yeah, no, I was kind of happy that they both, you know, at the end, they were kind of just like, okay, we don't really need to continue their stories too much here. Like, great, move on.
Yeah, I like that. Of course, also, even during the mid-season, we learn kind of the origins of every character, which was nice. It was nice touching detail, you know. They didn't go too much into it. They didn't take too long with it, I felt. So you were able to be like, oh, that's neat, or nice little details, nice seeing the background of who they could have been. Adds to the character.
Or who they were before.
Yeah. And they quickly moved on. So I felt like the biggest strength of season 2 versus season 1 was pacing overall, especially with characters' arcs and bringing it back to what the show was, the whole purpose of Loki and Kang. I mean, this show is supposed to be about Kang and obviously Loki as well. And I feel like with that finale, it really tied it in of I got everything I could have possibly wanted out of the show. So I'll say I can say some more, but you know, that's just my quick recap of how I felt about this show.
Like,
Alex, thoughts?
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I gotta agree with Josh on this one. I was pleasantly surprised by season 2. I found it way more enjoyable than season 1. And I told Josh immediately because he was the first one to finish it all, and he was like, "Dude, did you finish it yet?" I'm like, "No, I haven't finished it yet." He's like, "Let me know when you do because I gotta talk to someone about this." So I was like, I think the next day I finished the last 2 episodes, and I was just like, "Damn." I think watching season 2 made me appreciate season 1 more, especially with like the ties and the callbacks that they started showing towards like the last two episodes of this season. It really made me appreciate the first season a lot more. Still not that big of a fan of the first one, but it definitely maybe increased my overall grade of the first season. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I can't really remember too much about the first half of the season. I remember a lot about like the time slipping, and I like how at first you just thought, like Josh said, it was going to be like this kind of I want to say like effect of what was going on because He Who Remains was killed. This is what's happening to Loki now because he was pushed through time and now he's time slipping. So it was kind of like the after effects of all of that going down. And I like how they brought it back towards the end of the season in a meaningful way, where now this is actually like a power that he gained from it, not, you know, nothing negative. It was actually a positive. And honestly, I was kind of a fan of the effect in the first season, how, you know, he was just kind of like, well, what did Mobius say? Like, it looks like he was being born and dying at the same time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a very clever way of describing it. And I definitely enjoyed the first one, and I like how I think it's episode 5 they call back to what was happening in the first episode, where he's running, trying to find one of those prune sticks to stop the time slipping, and you see it kind of call back to the first episode, which I found. I was like, when are they actually going to call back to this? And they finally did it. I was like, okay, very, very unique. If I had to sum up this season, it was unique. And I can appreciate that because recently, a lot of these shows and movies that Marvel's been put out, very generic, very bland. And I can appreciate where this show definitely, I think, replacing the writer helped a lot. The writing in this season was leaps and bounds better than the first season, and it really showed. And the pacing as well. I like that every episode felt a little bit different, and it didn't feel like the exact same, minus maybe the last two where they were kind of like a part one and part two of each other. Yeah. But I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I mean, I just mainly want to talk about the finale, but I'm just gonna let Blake give his overall thoughts first before we dive deep into any of the episodes.
I mean, we can talk about the finale, but yeah, my overall thoughts on the entire season. Be honest, Marvel just doesn't do anything for me. It felt like a chore to watch this show. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, I have to watch the next episode, don't I? And I got logged out for the final 2 episodes, and part of me was like, darn, maybe I just can't finish the show. You know what I mean? Like, oh well. I just did not care about this show. I'm so done with Marvel. This whole universe is just so boring to me now. Especially fresh off of Gen V, which is actually like a superhero world that I love, because I think it's what, I think it's such a fresh air. Like this, like you're saying, like sure, it was different from other Marvel stuff, but it was like, oh, we gotta fix the temporal loom and fix the flux capacitor and blah blah blah. I was just like, cool, man, don't really care. It felt like a chore to watch this show. Not gonna lie to you, I was just do not care about it. We'll never revisit this again. Will not think about this show again.
He's destined to be the hater.
Dude, I'm so done with Marvel. Marvel is just so bad. I was just so bored of it.
For all
like,
time, wow. It's like
dude,
the hater.
All the set pieces, I was like, you can tell this is all CGI, unlike, Gen V, where they actually did practical stunts and they were actually on a campus. I was like, this just looks like a gray, boring background. It felt like such a chore. Such a chore, bro. But the finale was, it had some cool moments. That was the only redeeming part of the whole interaction with Kang, once Loki kind of figured out how to fix his time slipping and how he can do it, and he got to Kang. Their whole interaction I loved. I loved He Who Remains. Victor Timely, on the other hand, I was like, we're done with this, right? Let's move on. Give me Jonathan Majors being wasted right now. Don't need this. But I loved their interactions of him trying to figure out, and then Loki had, a classic, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, when Kang gave him the 2 options of what he can do. And that finale of him, with the whole tree, I guess it kind of ended up looking like at the end of him fixing. I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm excited to see what they do with Loki, like moving forward, if they even really use him going forward. But besides like that point, for me, this show was just, it all just meshed together.
See, for me, it was, what I loved about it was I didn't have to give a damn if they were going to do any more with it, because it concluded its own self, basically, with season 2. So that helped, definitely, because season 1, obviously, I think the biggest critique you can have for it is it needed help from what's coming after it. And what came after it, obviously, was, mainly Ant-Man 3. It was really the big one that's the sequel to that, and that was awful.
Yeah, I'm just really interested to see, because like you said, like they could leave Loki alone for a long time if they wanted to, but I just feel like he's now too powerful and he has too much knowledge of Kang for him not to play some kind of role, if not a significant one, moving forward, which I'd be excited to see. But besides like that part at the end, I was kind of just
let's jump into it. I would say, if we go into I'll say a few more things I love about it before we jump in the finale, and also what we think's going to happen, because I got a few thoughts. A few more things of why I love the show. I mean, obviously, I got Owen Wilson again, and then he got my boy playing Obi. I mean, it was destined for me to love the show, so it was
valid. It's valid. They got you.
They got me. They knew how to win me over, and they did it fast. I really liked how, and I already said it, but the attention to detail as well as the character arcs. I mean, I enjoyed the fact that they chilled the fuck out with Loki and Sylvie's, love aspect.
I disagree. I needed more of that.
Interesting. I because it kind of turned more into, like, okay, Loki realized it really wasn't that he was necessarily like in love with her with that. It was more the fact that it was the first time it felt like someone's been through what he's been through. So he was more infatuated with that than actually in love. but obviously still held her dear because obviously in the finale he could not choose to kill her. While versus you see the other side with Mobius, it was like Mobius was the first person for this Loki that he felt seen and heard from a person. And you just continuously saw that where they just had just an unbreakable bond, especially with the fact that Mobius was so depressed that Loki was gone. He's just literally sitting at his desk because he's not there anymore, that he was done with the TVA, even though the TVA was his home, he kept saying. So I thought that was a nice touch, especially since technically this Loki didn't get those interactions really with Thor, because we were starting to see that between him and Thor with our Loki, but obviously, Thanos just snapped his neck before anything else like that continued. Yeah. So I enjoyed that, of seeing a different Loki arc, of seeing the kind of that same trend where he finds this one person that he does bond with, and you just see them change him tremendously because he finally feels like he's seen and heard. So whether that's Thor or Mobius. So I definitely enjoyed that aspect of their relationship, and also how, I mean, hey, I know it's cheesy, but just Mobius saying there that he's going to let time pass, and then he just gives a little smile. Seeing that one got me. So I love that. Also, you mentioned the tree. I mean, that tree is directly from Thor 1, the Tree of Life. So I thought that was a nice little touch of detail with the branches going out for Loki. Another aspect of staying true to his character, and also giving a hell of a character arc with that. And they also mentioning Ant-Man 3 at the end with the TVA, of that little side report saying it was a 616 adjacent realm, which is apparently that's what the quantum realm is. So yeah, definitely nice. I think this season could be much more if they actually continue. We'll see what happens afterwards, obviously, but I think the best part of season 2 was we don't need more for the show to be great, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, the highlights were because, like, his sacrifice at the end hit harder, because you actually, like, I mean, at least on my part, and probably Josh too, I actually kind of cared about the characters, at least like the side characters, like Owen Wilson's character, like Obi. You actually started to feel like they were Loki's friends, and he started to grow this like bond with them. And he never really had friends; he was kind of just on his own, and he just kind of pretended to be other people's friends, just to eventually stab them in the back. So when he finally let his guard down through season 1, and obviously now it's more prominent in season 2, you start to see his crew, his Loki group, and now that he couldn't let go. He was like, I think it was episode 5 where he was like telling Sylvie why she's so selfish, why she won't help him save the universe, or the multiverse, I guess. And then she's like, well, because the only way to do it is by either not killing He Who Remains or replacing it, and still not giving people the free will, because you would have to prune all of the other branches. And then she pretty much called him a hypocrite, because he was also being selfish, because the main reason he wanted to do it was because he didn't want to lose his friends. And I just really, really like that, like, kind of part about Loki, because we never really got to see that. Really, he never really had friends, even in like his first character arc. He only recently started to open up to Thor and started being more friendly Loki. And then of course Big Daddy Thanos came in there and put an end to that one.
He'll do that to you.
That will happen. So I think what I appreciate most about it is that I personally always really liked Tom Hiddleston's like portrayal of Loki. Even in the first ones, he served his purpose in the first Thor, and then even in the second Thor, but he really started to shine in the Avengers, and then in Thor Ragnarok. And I was glad that they finally gave him like another arc where he can really, his character can be more fleshed out. And I enjoyed the finale for that reason, because he finally came to terms with the guy that he needed to be. He didn't need to be the god of mischief. He needed to be the unselfish god, where he ultimately, it's true, he had to lose in order for everyone else around him to win. and he was willing to make that sacrifice, which, you know, definitely hit. It definitely did hit.
Yeah,
Enjoyed that.
That finale was crazy, man. I mean, also as well as just like when obviously Victor Timely he dies, almost gave me that Thanos Infinity War snap feeling again of being like, oh shit, man, what the fuck just happened? When he just tore apart and then they just lost, and they're like, okay, how are they gonna figure out the next steps? You know, and I just remember that being obviously my first thought as well of being, okay, what do the Avengers do now after losing to Thanos? Obviously, it wasn't on that same level, but it was nice to feel that again for a Marvel project. I don't. Overall, the last couple episodes made it feel like a core Marvel project. Had that nice feeling to it, and the finale. I mean, it was badass. With Loki's interaction with He Who Remains, definitely gave me that hype that I needed and wanted to about Kang. Of you learn even more and more that Kang, He Remains, was even more powerful. It led Loki to even that moment. That was nice. Learning that made him even stronger than what we learned him to be. You know, as well as I liked his when he said like, this is mercy, and then Loki replies, mercy for me or for you, because you're just basically giving me your job of having to be internally stuck here. And that's kind of that first step of, you know, Loki realizing he has to do this and he has to be him, but in his own way. Again, that was tough. Also, I mean, I thought Jonathan Majors acting through that whole scene was fantastic. Of course, I think the acting for the whole series was fantastic from every character, but I loved Loki's and He Remains interactions. You know, even when Loki said, what do you think? Do you think this was the first time I was talking to you? And he was like, shit. That was fun.
I liked the He Who Remains, like any part of those two together. I liked that a lot.
So I thought that was crucial for the Kang storyline of we needed a win for him, and I feel like the series provided a win of being like, hey, he'll be back again. We'll get a Kang that we'll love. It gave me more hope, which that's why when I texted you guys randomly, just fuck, I was like, damn it. They kind of got me interested again. And it was annoying because, you know, at the same time, Marvel is coming out and it's just garbage. And I'm like, damn.
Why is it garbage if you haven't seen it?
I've seen plenty on TikTok scenes. Anyways, so it's tough that now I still want to see this Kang, you know?
Boy, I do not care one bit what happens next. Just could not care less about Marvel going forward. Don't know the next project, don't care. I could never watch another one. Maybe that's if, crazy. Like, you know, 7 years from now, if we get Secret Invasions and there's actually a cool Kang, maybe I'll check that one out. But not watching the next, like, you know, 12 projects where I have to watch a TV show and then a crappy movie, then another crappy TV show. I'm good on all that. What do we think about Loki at the end, though? What do we think about his now? Is he just gonna sit in his tree for the rest of his life? What do we kind of think him going forward will be?
Yeah, he's definitely stuck there. I think he has to be stuck there until literally it's the final moments where it is basically the entire universe versus basically everybody versus the Kangs. That's what it's going to be. Or the Kang.
It's got to be the Kang.
I got a theory. I think his time-slipping ability will come in handy. Because there's a way for him to leave without leaving. Now, if you pay attention throughout all of his time-slipping things, he just goes back to a point in time where he's, you know, wherever he is. So technically speaking, he's in charge of all of the branches. He can probably see every branch. That's how he's, like, you know, maintaining them. If something goes down where he then sees that he's required, there's a Loki on every timeline, presumably, or at least a version of Loki. He can technically time slip
he's dead
there.
Like in 616, he's dead.
No, but he can time slip to a certain point in time. where he isn't.
See, I think his time slipping ability is gone after the fact that he became where he's at. Like, it was working because of how the timelines were breaking, but since now he literally is in control of them, I don't think that's going to be a relevant factor. I think what's going to really actually happen is, especially with, hey man, the end credit scene of the Marvels, of seeing an X-Men character, is because they already mentioned how the hey man, fuck them. TVA being the hunting of the Kangs, and then mentioning it. What I think is gonna happen is they're gonna be going to, through TVA, they're gonna be just going to other timelines or universes and recruiting the best heroes, and then that's how they're gonna be doing it. And then Loki's not gonna be relevant until like the very, very end of either whether they win or they lose, depending how they play it out.
I mean, it's definitely got to be at the end that they're losing, or they're about to lose, and we see, you know, somebody major die or something like that, and Loki all of a sudden hits him with like basically the portal scene of Endgame. It's going to be something similar to that of, you know, last moments where it's Cap strapping up the shield to go die, and then it's like, wait, we got help for you. It's got to be similar to that.
I mean, it has to just be his version of just the opposite of what He Who Remains did. Instead of leading it to this moment, he's going to be leading everyone to Kang again, I guess, in a way of just fighting against them. So I don't know. I mean, the scene looked badass. The transition was sick of him putting his suit on, you know. He had to go out with flair, I guess.
Yeah.
And some crazy ass uncomfy shoes for the rest of his life. But yeah.
Listen, those were like slippers. He needed to be in his slippers while he rests there for all the time.
If you're going to be there for life, you know what I mean? You got to try to be, you know, comfortable, breathable shoes. You know what I mean?
For real.
Not the loafers. The loafers seem like that's a lifelong issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
Well, I guess we can talk about like a little bit of the after, like what some of this stuff leads to. I guess technically Blake doesn't care, but Mobius,
he does not.
Mobius is now back on the timeline, and it's been confirmed that he will appear in Deadpool 3, which leads into what Josh was saying. They're going to start to recruit these other heroes. Yeah. Owen Wilson is Mobius in Deadpool 3, and
no idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's on the timeline now, and he can go wherever he wants to go, and I feel that's how they're going to tie in the prior X-Men universe. And then Renslayer, she was pruned in episode 5, and she ends up in like in the void, and you just see like purple lights. That's obviously Kang there to pick her up, so she's gonna probably come back and be like, what did he say that she was?
She was just basically, well,
like the right hand woman.
Yeah, she was the general who like led them into battle to win the war while he just kind of chilled.
Right, that's right. Yeah. So that's probably what's going to happen there.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then what else happened? Can't remember.
I mean, it was really just basically the sadness of the characters. But like, yeah, Loki's gone. Mobius just says, "I'm just going to let time pass." Still doesn't even seem like he's committed to that life. That's probably obviously past him, but and also helps knowing that he is confirmed to be in Deadpool 3, which I think is a better approach than what I thought they were gonna do. I thought they were just gonna be like, oh, all this chaotic stuff happens, and then now the X-Men appears, in our current timeline, current universe that we already have established. And then I was like, that's gonna be so annoying. Who gives a shit? Now it's kind of more like Mobius is becoming the Nick Fury for the next Avenger films, basically. He's going to be the one that is appearing at the end credits. He's going to be appearing at the end of being like, hey, I'm forming a team,
Wow, I'm forming a team.
Yeah. So, I can dig with that. I'm good with that. Obviously, we got to give time will tell, but I think the show did enough to pique my interest to give some of the films, and maybe some of the shows a shot. I definitely do agree with Blake that there is some that you just cannot give a shit about. If it's not a major impact, and I know that they're literally just spawning content out for no reason, who gives a fuck?
Just wait till it drops on Disney Plus to watch the end credit scene, and that's all you need to know.
Don't even need to.
See it on TikTok.
Seen it on TikTok.
I know, but you want to watch it in 4K just to say that you watched it. Yeah.
Nah, I saw Beast. I don't need to see him. I'm good.
But it looks like someone with a potato phone just recorded it. Just looks like shit.
But I saw like Haley Steinfeld and Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel are forming a team. Like, cool. I saw it. I'm good.
Haley Bay's back. That's all I care about. I'm going to watch whatever she's in next. So they got
the Marvels. You have to go see the Marvels, bud.
No, and it's in the next project.
You got to see this one. You have to see her on the big screen. No, you have to see her on the big screen.
I heard that there's a random musical in the movie.
Yeah,
that's enough to like.
It was not random. It was key to the storyline. It was a key element of the plot. What are we talking about? Random.
Jesus.
Anyways,
that is sport pop culture. That's not American.
Final score.
Wow.
For season 2.
Shocker.
Oh jeez, I don't even know how to
quantify
it. Whoa.
Got him.
You just gotta throw quantum somewhere in there, and you'll be smart. Yeah, it's like a 7.
Like an average 7.
Yeah, it's a 7. That's a generous 7. It's like a 6.4 for being real, but I'll give it a 7.
Interesting.
I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9 for just because, man. Loki is.
You put that on the same as Gen V? You give that the same rating as Gen V?
Oh, I definitely thought this was better than Gen V, without doubt. I can confidently say.
Here's my thing, right? Okay, just because I give it a 9 out of 10 or like whatever score I give it, if I just so happen to give something else that's not related to this at all the same grade,
I guess. Yeah, that's
just
fair.
remember, I'm not comparing it, apples to apples here. This is a completely different thing. If you were to say how would I grade it, out of 10, I'd be comparing it to shit that's already been put out by Marvel. If you get what I mean, like in terms of like the shows.
Sure.
So I feel like this is probably the best season that the MCU has put out. Yeah, I mean, what else is there really? WandaVision was arguably the best show, and then minus the finale of Moon Knight, that show was pretty good too. So yeah. I don't know. It's definitely
that finale just pisses me off so much. Fuck you, Marvel.
Right,
You're
and
so
this
weak.
is the opposite.
You're so weak.
Where this finale was phenomenal. So I may give it just that much more there. So
yeah, I give it like a 9.6. I mean, this was my kind of show. I mean, it's my kind of art style, my kind of writing, my kind of storytelling, my kind of actors in there, obviously. This is definitely a me kind of show. Played a lot to my favorites, and it's easy for me to give that. I understand if others don't like it that much. That's totally understandable, but for me, easily, I loved it a lot. And I would agree that it is definitely the best season for a Marvel show that's come out, because I felt like it stuck every episode, while it feels like some of even like WandaVision or even obviously Moon Knight, there was at least 1 or 2 episodes that was a hard just fall of like, damn, okay, that's kind of disappointing, while Loki easily stuck the landing.
Yeah, and real quick, something that I gotta highlight too, I like the score of the show. The scoring is fucking amazing.
I'll let those credits play the entire time.
Yeah, me too, dude. That fucking I love that score. And last thing, if you guys are gonna bring a writer for what's the Kang movie called? Shit.
Secret Invasions.
No, yeah, but that's part 2. Kang Dynasty. Yeah. If you're gonna bring any writers for that, bring the writer for this season. Bring the writer for this season.
That's crazy.
So I'm just saying, I enjoyed that season a lot. So, yeah.
I actively died on the inside in the first episode where he was time slipping and they're in the elevator. And Loki was like, Owen Wilson was all like, whatever's happening to you. And he's like, that's not happening. I don't know what you're talking about. And then 2 seconds later, he time slips and then comes back to the exact same moment. And he's like, yeah, maybe we should get this fixed. I was like, oh my God, that was the classic Scooby-Doo. He's right behind me. Way to go, Marvel. You're killing it again.
You're destined
You
to
are
just not
such a
enjoy
nitpicking.
this.
I didn't. I did not enjoy this at all.
Okay.
As soon as an episode ends, I could not hit next just so I could continue and just get it over with. I did not listen to the end
Marvel
credits.
content in the future.
No, I'm done. I'm so done, bro. I was just like, this was a chore to get through.
Yeah.
This whole transition at the end, I was like, are we wrapping it up soon? I am done with this. So
yeah, that's just you not liking it being in it, not the fact that it's actually bad.
It was both. It was definitely both.
Definitely
just,
not at all.
It's just not worth it anymore. It's just boring backgrounds, just CGI backgrounds, just lame writing,
which makes no sense considering like when he goes out there, or when both him and Victor Timely go out there, that shit looks great. It looks great. Now it looks maybe boring in the inside because it's supposed to be like an office kind of area for the TVA. So it's like, how unique can you really get with? I mean, some of the places look cool with like the big ass elevator and all that shit there, but like it's like a bunker or like an office area majority of the time. So it's like, but when you actually go out into the world or you go into the fucking loom, I don't know what you're talking about. There's like colors everywhere. So
no, there's a lot of colors in Thor: Love and Thunder. So let's
that's different. That's just different.
Lots of colors.
That's just different.
Lots of colors. Colors. I watched a show called The Office that took place in an office, and they had some great backgrounds. They had some beautiful art pieces of the actual office inside the office. That's the kind of Inception that I want to watch. That's the time travel stuff I want to see. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, like the video. Comment down below what your thoughts are. What are your thoughts on the Marvels? I'm sure all of you have seen it. How excited are you for Echo? I believe that is the next TV show. How excited are we for that one? Be on the lookout for...
That trailer looks cool, actually.
Yeah, it does. I loved every second of it. Did not watch it. But subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next one.